What's going on, everybody? GemMint here, and in honor of the Venom The Last Dance trailer, I thought it was time to dust off the Venom Omnibuses off the shelves and do an every Venom Omnibus release so far video. Plus, at the end of the video, I'm going to talk about the Venom Omnibus that we need and still have not gotten yet. Before we do, if you love Venom, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos, and hit that bell so you get notified every time I drop one. The first thing we're going to do is take a look at the first 3 volumes, the Venom Omnibus. All right, so this dust jacket for Volume 1 has the cover for Lethal Protector Issue 2 with some nice recoloring going there. Love me some Mark Bagley Venom. Speaking of which, you have the iconic Venom image from Lethal Protector Issue 1. So this is technically the Venom Omnibus Volume 1, and I really like when they go ahead and change the word omnibus. They did it with the Marvel Zomnibus. For some reason, they didn't do it with the Romnibus. So originally, this book retailed $100, and it collects all of the Venom solo miniseries that came out after his wildly successful appearances in Spider-Man. So you have the 6-issue Lethal Protector. You've got the 3-part Funeral Pyre. He appears in Daredevil 323 and Iron Man 302. Darkhawk 35 through 75. Venom the Madness 1 through 3, which features the Juggernaut. Then you have Venom the Enemy Within 1 through 3, which has that glow-in-the-dark cover. Nightwatch 5 through 6. Venom Knights of Vengeance issue 1 through 4. I'm a huge fan of that series as well. Then you have Spider-Man the Arachnus Project 6. Web of Venom, issues 118 through 119. That is the first appearance of Scarlet Spider. Spider-Man 52 and 53 continues that story. Scarlet Spider vs. Venom. Venom Separation Anxiety, the 4-part miniseries. The Venom Carnage Unleashed 4-part miniseries. It also has material from Silver Sable and the Wild Pack 18 and 19, plus the Venom subplot pages. So David Michelinie, one of the writers here, Carl Potts. Inside of the dust jacket here has a nice image from Funeral Pyre. Then again, the Venom vs. Scarlet Spider stuff. You have a biography on all the creators. So in addition to I mentioned, you have Larry Hama, Bruce Jones, Terry Kavanagh, Howard Mackey. Quick little biography on Venom. Front of the hardcover has that same image as the dust jacket. Then on the back has that Venom, the Enemy Within, again with a nice recoloring, slime on the tongue, all that good stuff. So this is an essential omnibus for me. I mean, I'm a huge Venom fan, and this contains some of his most important stuff. Like I said, the Lethal Protector series in itself, I was a huge fan of this growing up. I love the art style. I love the storytelling. I mean, it's kind of juvenile and goofy in a sense, but that's what I was when this stuff was coming out. But man, you can't tell me early Bagley Spider-Man wasn't peak. So you have Venom going up against the Life Foundation, the manufactured symbiotes. You have Riot and Scream and Agony, all those guys here, speaking of which. So that's a great mini-series to own. Then Funeral Pyre, who doesn't love a good Punisher team-up? I remember this had like a Crystal Fleck foil cover. Love seeing Venom swinging around with the Spider-Man webbing. I like the fact that he was just a slightly deranged version of Spider-Man. He was basically the same thing as symbiote Spider-Man, except he had the mouth with the tongue, and he was bigger and more muscular. Man, it's just like the Venom symbiote always getting blasted off Eddie Brock with the Sonics and such. And this is like the chronological, everything he appeared in, you know, ever since becoming the Lethal Protector, ever since he went off on his own, just due to his popularity and the success of him. So many great panels and artwork here. But I don't want to spend too much time on this book because we have a lot more Venom Omnibus to go through. Man, it's been a while since I pulled this one out. Love the artwork on the dust jacket here. Man, that is a nice shot of Venom. Spine matches up with Volume 1. And then this one continues with Venom miniseries. $125 was the original retail price, but it collects Sinner Takes All 1 through 5. Along Came a Spider, the 4-issue miniseries, the 3-issue miniseries of Venom the Hunted, Venom the Hunger 1 through 4, Venom Tooth and Claw 1 through 3, which is that Wolverine team up. Then you get the Venom on Trial 1 through 3, License to Kill 1 through 3, Seeds of Darkness, which is a -1 issue, Venom Sign of the Boss 1 and 2, Spider-Man the Venom Agenda, Venom the Finale 1 through 3, Uncanny Origins 7, plus material from Amazing Spider-Man Super Special, Spider-Man Super Special, Venom Super Special, basically all the Planet of the Symbiote storylines which were collected in those one-shots. And just like Volume 1, you get the creators on the right side of the inside of the dust jacket here. Same guys, Larry Hama, David Michelini, Dan Slott is on here. Then you have where we're at with the Venom saga so far in this Omni. We get a wraparound cover this time, so the favorite trio, Spider-Man, Carnage, and Venom. All right, opening up to this one, you get a nice big pinup of Venom here, all the credits, all the different creators. Jumping into Sinner Takes All. So very much just a continuation of Volume 1. Venom would have so many appearances in miniseries before he would get his own true ongoing series. And then he's had a few since then, but yeah, 90s goodness. Venom interacting with all these other characters, Tarantula. You go Spider-Man and Scarlet Spider together at the same time. This is the Planet of the Symbiotes. I loved the Planet of the Symbiotes because it had a Scarlet Spider-Man 1 McFarlane homage. And they were flip covers. So you would have one cover on the front and then flip around upside down on the back. It would have another cover. The only thing I didn't like about that is that the Scarlet Spider cover was on the back side. So when I sent it to CGC, when I was collecting those, they put that on the back. It wasn't the front cover. Here goes Along Came a Spider. Man, 90s art is just so peak. I said this in a recent video when I was reviewing an omnibus. Oh, it was the Wolverine 88 issue. Look at the art. The entire page, full of detail. It was so important to have the most badass page on every single page during this era. Here goes Venom on Trial. Nowadays it seems like the interiors, sometimes they're just, super bland. They lack detail, and it's more of just a reason to push the overall story forward. License to Kill issue 1, hitting him with that Judge Dredd, I am the law. All right, so Venom Omnibus 2, we see what it collects. We're seeing the artwork. Let's take a look at Volume 3. You gotta love the Sam Keith artwork on the front of the dust jacket here. Venom in the Snow, Venom Omnibus Volume 3, Wolverine and Venom on the bottom there. Still getting that Venom Omnibus title. Now, we would still get miniseries here, but this is where we would finally get a true Venom ongoing series. So it starts with Peter Parker Spider-Man issues 9 and 10 and 16 and 17. These are the Venom-related issues. Nova 7, ASM 19, Spectacular Spider-Man 1 through 5 from the 2003 volume. Then we would get the 18-issue Venom series by Daniel Way. Venom vs. Carnage issues 1 through 4, which had the Clayton Crane artwork. Marvel Knights Spider-Man 7 and 8 plus 11. Sensational Spider-Man 12. And then Peter Parker Spider-Man issue 12, plus Spider-Man Family issues 1 and 2. $125 when this one came out as well. And very uniform with the graphic design on these. So the creators here, you get Paul Jenkins, Howard Mackey, Daniel Way, like I mentioned, Clayton Crane, like I mentioned, and just where we're at with this storyline here. The wraparound cover has the Venom vs. Wolverine artwork to complement the spine of the actual book on the dust jacket as we go into the interior pages. So here we go. Got Eric Larson doing some writing here as well. John Romita Jr. on some art. The Venom tongue. Here goes the Peter Parker Spider-Man stuff. Yeah, but nice to see him finally get his dues with his nice ongoing series here. They have a complete collection trade paperback of that material, but it's also obviously collected in this omnibus. So let's start getting to some of the good stuff, because that's where we really get a darker version of Venom. The final issue for that little mini-series. And then here we go, the Daniel Way Venom issue 1. You have the Wolverine cameos here, Sam Keith doing covers, iconic tongue cover for issue 11. But very much like an early 2000s vibe, not as detailed as the 90s iterations, which is always going to be my favorite stuff. This is where we get the big hulking Venom. So this series ran for 18 issues. Then you had the Venom vs. Carnage, which would introduce us to the latest symbiote, Toxin. I remember picking up this trade paperback when I was getting back into comics as well, and I remember being blown away by this artwork. It looked like it was like computer generated. Like the detail that Clayton Crane put into this was amazing. So Toxin is a police officer who is the spawn of Carnage, the same way that Carnage is the spawn of Venom, except for the fact that Toxin, being a police officer, he's actually a good guy. He is not a villain like his father. So you get that 4-issue series, and then just other issues that Venom was in around this time. Classic material there. Definitely should be on every Venom fan's shelf. Before we jump on to the Spider-Man vs. Venom Omnibus, I know most of you guys know you can pick up these books from organicpricebooks.com. If you don't know, now you know. Great packaging, fast shipping. You can pre-order. Make sure you don't miss out on them DM variants, and you can save $2 every time you use the code GemMint at checkout. But what some of you may not know, all my international viewers, is that you can actually pick up Omnibus from a local source in the EU at comicsbugle.com. No taxes, no import fees, free shipping on books that are shipped within the EU. They have eco-friendly, bomb-proof packaging, customer service guaranteed to respond to you within 24 hours. Plus, their pre-order system is set up to where you don't pay until that book is ready to ship. You can also save $2 over there by using that same code GemMint at checkout. With that out the way, let's jump into that Spider-Man vs. Venom Omnibus. Now, if you've been following the channel for a while, you may have heard me say that this is my favorite omnibus in my entire collection. Spider-Man vs. Venom. You have an amazing Spider-Man 316 recolored cover, art by Todd McFarlane, which would be Venom's first full cover appearance. He was like a little in a little circle bubble in what was it, 315, the prior issue, the Hydro Man cover. On the spine here, you get the Eric Larson iconic picture of Venom with Spider-Man in the reflection of his eyes, with so much green acid around his teeth. This collects all of Venom's first appearances and battles with Spider-Man. So it starts with Amazing Spider-Man 258. You're getting a little bit of prelude stuff there with the symbiote. You get issue 300, which is his first full appearance. Amazing Spider-Man 315 through 317. Yeah, see, there's a little Venom cameo. Then 316 is the first full cover. He returns in 332 through 333, then 346 and 347. Then it collects the first appearance of Carnage in 361 through 363, and then 374, 378, and through 380. It collects Web of Spider-Man #1, then issues 95 and 96, ending it off with Web of Spider-Man 101 through 103. It has Avengers Death Trap The Vault, Darkhawk 13 and 14, Spider-Man The Trial of Venom, Ghost Rider / Blaze Spirits of Vengeance 5 and 6. I was a huge fan of this Spirits of Vengeance storyline, which connected with Web of Spider-Man. Then it would collect Spider-Man from that original McFarlane run, but he would end on issue 16, but it picks up issues 35 through 37, Spectacular Spider-Man 201 through 203, and then it has some material from Amazing Spider-Man 373, 375, and 388, plus annuals 25 and 26, the Web of Spider-Man annual 7 and 8, Spectacular Spider-Man annual 12, Marvel Comics Presents 117 through 122, and Spider-Man Unlimited 1 through 2. Originally retailing $125. This went out of print and was highly sought after, but I am pretty sure that a reprint has been announced. So if anyone is wanting this book, which I think you should pick up, and I didn't even mention this yet, the main reason why this is my favorite book, because it collects the entire Maximum Carnage run. But anyway, David Michelinie, Todd McFarlane, Eric Larson, Mark Bagley, biographies on the right, biography on Venom here. One of my favorite gatefold posters of all time, the Mark Bagley, Carnage, Spider-Man, and Venom. I put this up there with the X-Men one by Jim Lee, man. I'm such a fan of this poster. It came with those, 25 or 25th anniversary of Spider-Man hologram covers. They each had a gatefold pinup. I'm a fan of all of them, man. You have the one that's on this hardcover. You've got the Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2099 one, the Captain America, Spider-Man Silver Surfer, and then, of course, the symbiote Spider-Man with Hobgoblin. But here is that Eric Larson image. To me, this is like the pinnacle of Eric Larson's career. This image right here. Nice transformation, Eddie Brock to Venom. But yeah, so you get a little bit of Secret Wars 8. Spider-Man thinks it's a costume because he saw Thor get his tattered costume repaired in one of those rooms on Battle World. but it ended up, of course, being the living symbiote that would later become Venom. All right, then we get some symbiote stuff here. This is where Spider-Man takes it to Reed Richards, who tells him, hey, this is a living thing. He can't get it off him. And that's when we start to learn the true nature of the symbiote. That's where we get the Amazing Bagman. So what would happen in the pages of Amazing Spider-Man, while Peter Parker was sleeping, the symbiote would go out and fight crime by itself. And then he would eventually get it off of him, and it would latch on to Eddie Brock, and that's how we would get Venom. So here's the Web of Spider-Man stuff, getting the symbiote off of him in the bell tower, that iconic scene that we've seen played out so many times. Here was an early cameo of Venom, somebody pushing Spider-Man onto the train tracks without his spider sense going off. So that was a Web of Spider-Man 18, and then the Web of Spider-Man 24, we get another kind of like pre-cameo. Amazing Spider-Man 298 first gives us the silhouette of Venom, Eddie Brock's eyes, and then his transformation into the symbiote, which was so cool because we hadn't seen any other human wearing this symbiote, and then boom, goes on to Venom. At the end of the next issue, he traumatizes Mary Jane. She thinks it's Spider-Man, but then a mouth appears. How sinister is that? Then we get Amazing Spider-Man 300. Like I said, Mary Jane traumatized. Then we would get the first full appearance of Venom battling up against Spider-Man. Todd McFarlane, masterpiece. And then we would get the first battles. So I could probably talk about this all day. We'll keep it moving. But yeah, the Maximum Carnage storyline. So I didn't even notice it while I was listing off the issues because it's collected across a bunch of different titles. But that is one of the first comic books that I actually sat down and read the story. The trade paperback. I loved the video games as a kid. I loved the action figures. Here's the first appearance of Carnage. Nobody really talks about the first cameo of Carnage at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 360. This is basically the same thing as Hulk 180 and Hulk 181.
This video is brought to you by Bad Music, issue number 1. Following the battle at the Ninja Funk Dojo and the capture of BB, Bad Music retreats to their headquarters at the Nexus. With the love of Laser Wolf's life as irresistible bait, there's no doubt in Queen Bad's mind that her nemesis will come knocking and she's ready for them. Will Laser Wolf, JPG McFly, and Wolfgang see the trap for what it is or run headlong into disaster? Find out in Ninja Funk Bad Music number 1, hitting your LCS this October. So Mark Bagley, man, I always say this. Mark Bagley is my favorite Spider-Man artist. I mean, that's just, to me, my definitive version. I always feel like he took what McFarlane did and improved on it, made it cleaner, made the proportions a little bit more realistic, and just expanded on the Venom look and aesthetics. Love McFarlane too, but I don't know. As a fan, I just was always into Bagley. All right, now let's get into some Maximum Carnage. Oh, wait, before... Man, Spirits of Venom. I love this so much. I remember having these issues as a kid. And again, like I said in the other omnibus, you got to love pairing Venom up with like the coolest villains in Marvel Comics. I mean, or anti-heroes, Punisher, Ghost Rider, but then Doppelganger, Demo Goblin, Hobgoblin, some of my favorite characters in comics. Here, the Marvel Comics presents stuff. So I want to say these issues are also collected in the Wolverine Omnibus Volume 5 that we recently just took a look at. But they were included in here first. Then you have Venom tormenting Spider-Man with bringing back his parents. Well, that was that whole storyline. And then here we go. Here's Maximum Carnage. So it's a 14-part series. It started in Spider-Man Unlimited issue 1. Cletus Cassidy breaks free and goes on this rampage that transcended comic books. I mean, you had the video game on Super Nintendo with the red cartridge was amazing. And I'm a huge fan of all the characters here, the relationship between Carnage, Shriek, and Doppelganger. Doppelganger's like their little adoptive son. But yeah, like it took place over all the Spider-Man titles that were going on at the time, which was confusing to me as a kid. Thank God they had the trade paperback and I was able to pick it up and read it all in order. See, Part 6 of 14 is in Web of Spider-Man. Part 7 is in Amazing Spider-Man. And then Spider-Man has to team up with Venom to take down his offspring, Carnage. It's
Spectacular Spider-Man. Here we go. I loved all the covers too. And then the conclusion in Spider-Man Unlimited 2. So 14 issues just to get one more issue into the Unlimited series. So the bonus material in the back, here we have costume designs by Mike Zeck and Rick Leonardi. Originally, we're going to make him red. But yeah, man, love Maximum Carnage. The fact that this collects that, plus Amazing Spider-Man 300, all those early battles, the Eric Larson run where Spider-Man has to fake his own death to get away from Venom. Some of my favorites in here, y'all. Funny enough, I'm wearing that same Eric Larson Venom image on this shirt. I didn't even think of that until I turned this camera on. Love that omnibus. My favorite in the entire collection because of the nostalgia, because of the characters, the art, the storytelling. But let's move on to some modern goodness here. We're going to take a look at the Venom Omnibus by Donnie Cates and the King in Black Event Omnibus. All right, guys, moving on. We have the Venom Omnibus by Donnie Cates. So I used to kind of wonder why they didn't call it the Venom Omnibus Volume 4, but I think that has to do a lot with the run that has not been collected in omnibus format yet that I'm going to talk about at the end of this video. Donnie Cates, Ryan Stegman, Mark Bagley, Iban Coelho, and here we go. We have Null. We've got the King in Black, which we'll get into that as well. But this collects Venom issues 1 through 35. It's the entire run. You get the annual from 2018, Web of Venom, which is Venom, then Carnage Born, then Wraith. Then you get Absolute Carnage 1 through 5. So that's an omnibus in itself that collects all its tie-ins. I'm going to call that more of a Carnage omnibus, though, for the sake of this video. But it does collect not only that series, the King in Black 1 through 5 as well. You also get Free Comic Book Day 2019, the Spider-Man Venom story. Same with the 2020 Free Comic Book Day, Incoming 1, and Carnage Black, White, and Blood 2. Originally $125 on the cover price. We get a biography on the 4 creators that I mentioned earlier. We get a synopsis here of what's going on in this story. God is coming. Not only did this do a great job of introducing a new villain, I know we haven't seen Null in quite a while, but there's no denying that he is a popular character that will probably stay in the Spider-Man universe for some time to come. We have a wraparound cover on the actual hardcover, and who doesn't love a Venom symbiote dragon? So not only did this run do a great job of introducing a new and interesting villain, it expanded on the lore of the Clintar, is that the name of the symbiotes? And gave so much more depth to Eddie Brock. So that's kind of the criticism that you get in the earlier Venom stuff, that he's just this mindless, bulking beast of a creature, and Eddie Brock is just this dumb, musclehead. But here we have character development in Eddie Brock, and we find out that he has a kid in Dylan Brock, which is revealed later on in this run. But yeah, Eddie Brock, he deals with a lot of real life themes, whether it's addiction or separation anxiety, no pun intended. But you get all that storyline in here, plus you have the coming of Null, and what does that mean? What is the King in Black? And what will happen when a god, a symbiote god, touches down on Earth? So as you can see moving through, you have modern artwork, but it is highly detailed. I feel like the artwork in here kind of goes against what I was saying earlier. Not all modern comics have the kind of quick storytelling panels. You have Ryan Stegman here really making an effort to make each page stand out. Here goes Venom going up against the Maker. Here's Eddie Brock and Dylan Brock. This is probably the run that you would recommend for somebody when they ask, hey, where should I start reading Venom? Yeah, you could tell them to go read all of the early Spider-Man stuff or the early 90s miniseries, but it really makes more sense for a cohesive story to read the Donnie Cates run of Venom. Plus, it's interesting. Everything that Donnie Cates was doing during this era was just great, man. Whether it was Silver Surfer Black or the stuff he was doing with Thanos and Cosmic Ghost Rider, things were just interesting and fun. Yeah, so King in Black, it double dips with those 5 issues for sure, and all of the Venom issues, because those are considered tie-ins to this main story. But Donnie Cates and Ryan Stegman giving us this huge omnibus, this huge story of Null on Earth. So King of Black 1 through 5, like I said, collected in the Donnie Cates omnibus. But then you have these one-shots. You have Immortal Hulk, Iron Man / Doctor Doom, Black Knight, Marauders, Black Panther, Captain America, Wiccan and Hulkling, Spider-Man, Scream, Ghost Rider, Venom vs. Carnage 1 through 3, King in Black Namor 1 through 5, Planet of the Symbiotes 1 through 3, Return of the Valkyries 1 through 4, Thunderbolts 1 through 3, Symbiote Spider-Man King in Black 1 through 5, Black Cat 1 through 3, Daredevil 26 and 27, Deadpool 10, Fantastic Four 29 and 30, Guardians 10, Miles Morales 23, Sword 2 through 4, Savage Avengers 17 and 19, Spider-Woman 7 and 8, The Union 1 and 2, and then the Venom issues that double dip as well with issues 31 through 34, and the King in Black Handbook issue number 1. This one retailed $150 when it came out. The inside of the dust jacket gives us a biography on Donnie Cates as well as Ryan Stegman, gives us a breakdown on what is going on with Null and what is this whole King in Black mess. Wraparound cover on the hardcover, you have all of the symbiote dragons falling from the sky, engulfing the entire world with the symbiote. And like you can tell from reading off all of the issues that it collects, it's the King of Black storyline, but all of the tie-ins, how all of these other characters within the Marvel Universe were reacting to this invasion. Some of them being just one-shots, some of them being miniseries, all of them of varying quality, depending on if you care about those characters or not. You know, it would be a little bit of like, you know, Black Cat, for example. What's Black Cat doing in New York City while this war is going on around her? How does she fit into it? How does she tie in? So that's kind of what you're getting as an event omnibus. I want to say Planet of the Symbiote stuff, the Life Foundation symbiotes, the possessed symbiotes. So that's the whole thing with the like squiggly circle on their face there. That's when they're all connected to this symbiote hive mind, which leads to the conclusion of King of Black. I'm not going to spoil it, but it has big implications for Eddie Brock at the end of this big event. You know, I could be throwing in some honorable mentions here, like Absolute Carnage, which I mentioned, taking a look at the Donnie Cates stuff, but then it's like, do we get into the regular Carnage omnibus? Do we just start naming random Spider-Man omni? So I feel like these are the core essential Venom omnibus, but man, something is definitely missing here, especially because during the Donnie Cates run, I talk about giving Eddie Brock more depth. But we've had a Venom host who has had a ton of depth before the Donnie Cates run, and I'm talking about Flash Thompson. We need the Venom by Rick Remender omnibus, and it would be so easy to map out. It's a 42-issue series with an interesting story. This is one of the first comic book runs that I picked up as it came out. I had just recently got back into collecting and reading comic books. I walk into the comic shop, I'm picking up Amazing Spider-Man by Dan Slott, and I see this Venom ongoing series teased. Amazing cover for issue number 1, and then we get this story where Flash Thompson, working for the military, is using the Venom symbiote. He's been disabled from combat, he's in a wheelchair, he doesn't have legs below the knees, and he uses a sedated version of the symbiote to give him legs and to give him augmented powers so he can do these military missions. Now the problem is if he's wearing this symbiote too long, it hulks out or venoms out, for lack of a better term, and he loses control, and the Agent Venom aesthetic gets replaced by that beastly, menacing Venom that we know and love. This could all fit in one omnibus, unless there are other tie-ins and things that I'm not thinking of right now, in which case, make it a Volume 1 and a Volume 2. And in that Volume 2, you could include the 13-issue Venom Space Knight series. Venom went into space long before he became the King in Black, and I think that you could even do an Agent Venom omnibus volumes 1 and 2. Doesn't have to necessarily be the Rick Remender version. I know there was also a tie-in with Red Hulk and Ghost Rider, some kind of story that they could probably sprinkle in there as well. But crazy that this has not been announced yet, that I've heard of. I definitely don't see anything on the horizon. They do have trade paperbacks covering this material, but we really need that Agent Venom omnibus. Well, that's every Venom omnibus that's been released so far, including one that hasn't. Let me know what you think about them in the comments down below. Which one is your favorite Venom omnibus? And are you looking forward to Venom The Last Dance? Spoiler alert, I wasn't feeling the trailer. I don't really know what this movie's about, and I don't really see what the point of it is. I'm not a fan of it, but let me know what you think in the comments down below. And thank you for watching. Stay minty fresh. Peace.